All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful idea from James Allen's classic book, As a Man Thinketh. It's this concept that our lives aren't just a series of random events, but instead they're a direct harvest of our own thoughts. Let's dig into how that actually works. You know that feeling, right? That sense of frustration when you're putting in the work, but the results you're getting just don't seem to match up. It's so easy to look at your circumstances and just feel like the math is wrong, like it's somehow unfair. But what if those results aren't random or unfair at all? James Allen had a totally different take on this. He said your life, right here, right now, is simply a harvest. It's the direct, logical, and honestly predictable outcome of what you've been planting in the garden of your mind. So, how does this actually work? I mean, thoughts become things. It sounds a little abstract, but the core idea is that our thoughts, which feel so private and maybe even powerless, follow a very clear path out into our reality. They aren't secrets, they're seeds. Here's how he breaks it down. It all starts with a single thought, like a hidden seed you plant in your mind. Now, if you keep coming back to that thought, you're basically watering it. And with enough repetition, it starts to crystallize, to harden into a habit. And over time, that habit, that automatic way of thinking and acting, well, it solidifies into a real, tangible life circumstance. You can see the chain of cause and effect. So really, every single condition in your life, whether you love it or you hate it, can be traced right back to the kinds of thought seeds you've been growing, whether you realized you were doing it or not. And this is where you really see the compounding power of it all. A tiny little thought seems harmless, but it grows into a habit. And that habit, done over and over, starts to shape who you are, your character, and yeah, eventually, your destiny. Now look, I get it. Hearing this can bring up some pretty tough feelings. It's really easy to slide into shame or self-blame when you look at past results. But Allen's whole idea isn't about judging yourself. It's about empowering yourself. So let's get really clear on the huge difference between shame and responsibility. Shame is all about judgment. It's a heavy anchor that keeps you chained to who you used to be, and it's completely paralyzing. But responsibility, that's totally different. That's about the future. It's the power you have in this exact moment. It's the steering wheel that lets you decide who you're going to become. It's all about your own agency, not about blame. So this whole way of thinking isn't about beating yourself up for the seeds you planted yesterday. Not at all. It's about waking up to the fact that you have total power over the seeds you choose to plant today. It's all about your very next choice. Okay, so if we can accept that, it leads us to a really practical tool. If our circumstances are a harvest, then we can actually learn how to read them. We can start seeing our life as a source of incredibly valuable information, not as some scary final grade. This is such a crucial shift to make. The state of your finances, your health, your relationships, it is not a final verdict on you as a person. It's not a grade that you're stuck with forever. Instead, try to see your results as just neutral feedback. Think about it. A farmer doesn't get mad at a bitter piece of fruit. They study it, they see it as honest feedback about the soil, the water, the seeds they used. Your life circumstances are giving you that same kind of honest feedback. Your outer world is basically a perfect mirror for your inner world. It doesn't create who you are, but it definitely reveals the true nature of the thoughts, beliefs, and habits you've been growing all this time. All right, let's make this way more concrete. How does this link between a thought seed and the actual fruit, the harvest, show up in our day-to-day lives? Let's walk through 3 really common examples. Just notice how direct these connections are. In our work, right, if we are constantly planting seeds of fear and self-doubt, well, the harvest we tend to get is failure and just feeling stuck. In our relationships, if the seeds we're sowing are hateful or always pointing the finger, the predictable harvest is conflict and hurt. And for our own personal habits, if the seeds are lazy or undisciplined thoughts, the harvest is a life that just feels messy and confusing. The pattern is always there. Okay. Understanding the theory is one thing, but actually applying it is where all the change happens. So here's a super simple 3-step practice you can use today, right now, to start consciously taking care of your own mental garden and changing that harvest. Okay, first step, harvest. Just pick one area of your life and name the result you're getting. Do it with total honesty, but zero judgment. Second step, review. Trace that result backward. What are the underlying thoughts, the core beliefs, the seeds that have been creating this? And finally, the most important step, reset. Deliberately plant one new seed. Choose one different thought, one new belief to focus on and practice, just for today. So the central theme really is this: your life is not happening by accident. The harvest you're living right now is an honest reflection of what you've been cultivating inside. And the beautiful part of that is, if you don't like the harvest, you have all the power you need to change the seeds. And this is the ultimate message of empowerment from James Allen. You are not just a passive victim of your circumstances. You are the master gardener of your own soul. You are the director of your own life. The choice of what to grow, it is and it has always been yours. So, to wrap it up, we've traced that clear path from a tiny hidden thought all the way to a real-world circumstance. We've untangled empowering responsibility from paralyzing shame, and we've reframed our results not as a grade, but as super helpful feedback. And most importantly, you now have a simple, practical way to start planting a different kind of garden, starting today. Understanding this principle is a huge first step. The next piece of the puzzle is learning how to direct all this power with real intention and purpose. Thanks so much for joining me for this one.